Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of Psych Talk. Today, we're diving into the shocking story of Luigi Mangione, a 26-year-old who carefully planned and executed the murder of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson in broad daylight. So, in this episode, we'll explore who Luigi Mangione is, why he committed this act, and what his own writings reveal about his motives. And obviously, we'll discuss everything through a psychological perspective. So we're gonna discuss factors like narcissism and the need for recognition, and why some people have started seeing him as a hero. And finally, we'll take a step back to examine what this case tells us about society and the dangers of glorifying violence, and also the ripple effects of his actions, or actions like Mangione's. So, who is Luigi Mangione, and what drove him to commit such a shocking act? On December 4, 2024, Brian Thompson was shot and killed in broad daylight outside a Manhattan hotel. And Thompson was the CEO of United Healthcare, so one of the largest health insurance companies in the country. Luigi Mangione, a young man with no prior connection to Thompson, was arrested 5 days later in Pennsylvania. Authorities found a notebook and a letter in his possessions that shed light on his motivations. So, here's what the prosecutors say. Mangione spent months planning the attack, writing in his notebooks about his frustrations with the health insurance industry. He targeted Thompson not as a person, but as a symbol of everything he believed was wrong with the system. In one notebook entry, he wrote, "The details are finally coming together. The target is insurance because it checks every box." Mangione also wrote a letter to federal authorities saying, "I wasn't working with anyone. This was fairly trivial. Some elementary social engineering, basic CAD, and a lot of patience." His writing suggests he thought his actions would expose problems in the health insurance industry and spark a national conversation. So, why did he do it? Well, let's break down Mangione's possible motives. First, anger at the system. So Mangione believed the health insurance industry caused harm to ordinary people. And his notebook described his hostility toward wealthy executives like Thompson, blaming them for what he saw as unethical practices. He viewed the attack as a way to make people pay attention. 2. Narcissism and the need to be seen. Mangione's actions were carefully planned, not impulsive. He wanted to control the story, make a statement, and ensure people saw him as someone taking a stand. This is common with narcissistic personalities. They crave recognition and want to be seen as heroes, even if their actions cause harm. 3. A twisted sense of justice. So Mangione did not know Thompson personally, but he targeted him because of his role. To Mangione, Thompson represented everything he thought was wrong with the system. In his mind, this wasn't just murder, it was a way to bring attention to what he saw as a bigger issue. 4. Leaving a legacy. By writing a letter to all the authorities, Mangione ensured his motives would be part of the story. He wanted to be remembered, not just as the person who killed a CEO, but as someone who challenged the system, someone who is fighting for the people. So why are some people calling him a hero? Well, after the attack, obviously people on social media began praising Mangione, calling him a hero for standing up to corporate greed. And this reaction is not surprising. And so many people are frustrated with the healthcare system and feel powerless to change it. And Mangione's action, as extreme as they are, tapped into that anger. So someone see him as a Robin Hood figure, someone who attacked a powerful executive to make a point. But this view is dangerous. And I'll explain later why. But as legal expert Barbara McCade explained, it's important to send a message that he is not a hero. He's not just a murderer, he's a terrorist. So obviously Mangione's action caused a lot of pain and loss for Thompson's family and friends. He was a father, he was a husband, he was a son, and praising Mangione ignores the human cost of his decisions and risks inspiring others to follow his example. So, what can we learn from this? Mangione's story is a reminder of how dangerous it can be when anger, narcissism, and a need for recognition collide. His actions weren't just about making a statement, they were about making sure he was the center of attention. So here are a few takeaways. Actions have consequences. So Mangione's attack devastated Thompson family and colleagues, and whatever his motives, the harm he caused is undeniable. And be careful who you idolize, because calling Mangione a hero sends the wrong message. Change does not come through violence, it comes through dialogue and collective action. And mental health matters. So understanding the psychological factors behind actions like these can help us prevent them in the future. So I want you guys to understand that his action was premeditated. And so everything was planned. And he knew, because he is actually a very smart person, he knew that people were going to recognize him as a hero. That people were going to be happy about it or proud about it, because obviously we are angry at the healthcare system. It's definitely a scam. Like, it's not something that we're happy about at all, and we are angry at the government, we're angry at the system and how things work, and these are all valuable sentiments. But what Mangione is that he literally thought that he could make decisions of who is going to die and who is not. That he has the right to take other people's lives. And I do agree with him on the fact that we need change. We do need change in the healthcare system. It sucks, truly. But there are different ways to make changes, and there are different ways to also grab attention from, authorities, people in this healthcare system, and make them want to change the system. Obviously, it's hard, it's not easy, and Luigi Mangione's action, maybe it's going to speed up the process. And I feel like before, nobody was doing anything anyway to change the system. We obviously need more people to protest about the healthcare system, but we do not need to kill somebody. And also this person, Brian Thompson, he was not the only one making decisions. We have many people at the top that are making decisions. It's not just one person. And so we can see that I will diagnose Luigi Mangione as a narcissist. I will diagnose him with narcissistic personality disorder because, or better, I would say that he has narcissistic traits. Because likely Mangione saw himself as a savior, and he meticulously planned the attack not just to harm Thompson, but to create a narrative where he will be seen as a hero fighting against perceived injustices, like Katniss Everdeen from The Hunger Games, or Therese from Divergent. And so everything in his mind was perfect, because narcissistic individuals often justify their actions through a lens of morality. He's smart, he's not stupid. And so he knew people were going to see him as a hero. And so in Mangione's mind, the ends, exposing the health insurance industry, justified the means. It's like when people with antisocial personality disorder or psychopaths, they say, oh, well, he deserved that, or he did that, so I did this. That doesn't justify your action. People with these type of personality disorders, they always have an excuse for their actions, and they're always trying to put themselves as victims. And the problem is that many people actually like them because some of them are very smart and they know how to make other people like them and how to be perceived as a hero. Let's not forget that this person actually killed somebody. And so, what is the problem with that? Why is this going to create problems in society? Well, the problem is that it's the glorification of this drastic action. So we live in a world where these type of bold moves often grab attention, and some admire individuals who take extreme measures to challenge authority. And Mangione's critique of the health insurance industry also resonates with those who feel disenfranchised by corporate greed. And so this phenomenon is dangerous because it can inspire copycats, perpetuating a cycle of violence and hero worship. I'll give you some examples so that you can understand better what I'm talking about. So, school shooters, for example, they created a suicidal epidemic. The same thing with anorexia, the same thing with people who started cutting themselves. So, basically, when someone does something very bad that grabs a lot of attention, it will create a cycle of other people copying the same action. So the desire for notoriety can inspire this copycat behavior. And some cultural glorification of certain ideals can spread like wildfire. And so because in this case Mangione is, glorified and he's seen as a hero, I will be not surprised if we are going to see others committing the same crime against other CEOs, maybe in the healthcare system, or maybe something not related to healthcare, but probably related to people who have the power or people who are in power and are making the wrong decisions and are not actually helping the population. And although obviously we all agree that the healthcare system sucks and there are many things that sucks in every country and the government is corrupt and the government doesn't care about us, we cannot glorify this type of behavior, especially because there are going to be other people following that behavior when it is glorified. And so as we, reflect on this case, let's remember the importance of finding solutions through compassion, connection, and understanding, not harm. Like Martin Luther King Jr. and Nelson Mandela, there are some examples of people that they made impactful changes for society, but in a way that were non-violent. And on a side note, Luigi Mangione is actually pronounced Luigi Mangione, but for the sake of the episode, I just pronounced it in an Americanized way, which is Mangione. And funny thing, Mangione actually means, in Italian, a person who eats a lot. So that's kind of funny. Anyway, thank you for tuning in. And don't forget to follow us on Instagram. We're called Psych Talk Pod. And I hope you enjoyed the episode. Let me know your thoughts on the comments. And thank you.